the issue of war, truth is the first casualty, and we've seen that over and over and over again. There was a report. There was a report that Israel was going to use nerve gas. Now, this was never confirmed with anything, but these news organizations that, well, they parrot things sometimes. They parrot things. They talk about nerve gas and going into the tunnels. That would be a disaster too if they're going to go to use nerve gas, because that's if you're really going to go and get the hostage. Well, the hostage are going to get the nerve gas too.
Correct.
It's insane. It's insane, but it is a very difficult situation with the hostage and the ground invasion of Gaza.
The other problem is, let's not forget that Qatar, not just Iran, Qatar is a de facto sponsor of Hamas.
Yes.
And there's a U.S. Air Force base, a major one, in Qatar. Qatar has always played both sides. It's what Al Jazeera is. It's also where the leaders of Hamas are. They're not in Gaza.
Yeah, they live in Qatar.
They're in Qatar. Correct. So, I mean, you've got to negotiate with Qatar because they're the only ones who have any leverage to negotiate with Hamas. It's a doomed situation. A doomed situation. The only bargaining chip they had is aid. And they're being pressured by Joe Obama to give that up, as well as by the European Union.
Now, the UN has been trying to basically broker a peace deal, some kind of ceasefire, not peace deal, but a ceasefire. Do you think that's going to happen, Jacob? You think the Hamas is going to take a ceasefire? I mean, Islam is known for this kinds of, they would lie just to get their way until they got power.
But I also think that the White House would lie. They would do everything they could.
They're just as bad as the Muslims.
Yeah. Biden is no better than Hamas. He funded them. He funded them. He wouldn't enforce the Iranian embargo, and the money was gone to finance terror, including Hamas. Again, Biden and Obama made this possible. Financially, they made it possible. And in fact, some of the weapons that were left, $80 billion of weapons, who Joe Biden bequeathed to the Taliban, some of those weapons are showing up in Gaza. So again, this is, he puts on a show that we're pro-Israel and all this kind of stuff. Don't watch what politicians say. Watch what they do.
Jacob, are you saying we're funding both sides of the war?
We have funded it. It wouldn't have happened if America didn't pick up the tab.
That wouldn't be the first time, wouldn't it?
Well, again, no, it would not.
Yeah,
I always said Stalin built the Iron Curtain and Harry Truman gave him the iron,
Very true. Well, even in Vietnam, that's what happened, right? In Vietnam, they were doing both.
Of course. The North Vietnamese were being supplied by China and Russia, while Nixon and Kissinger were increasing trade with China and Russia, with détente and opening the door to China, while they were arming the North Vietnamese to kill Americans. Again, the White House has always been a house of treason since the Second World War. Since Truman and Roosevelt, it has always been a house of treason. Who took Egypt and gave it on a silver platter to the Soviet Union? Well, again, that was Eisenhower in the Suez Crisis. He turned against Britain, France, and Israel. That was Eisenhower made that possible. Who let Stalin build the Iron Curtain when the United States had the atomic bomb and the Russians didn't? All you had to do was tell them to get out. Well, Truman. It was Truman. Mao came to power in China under Truman. I think of the Cold War and the era of the Cold War and what Mao did and what Stalin did. No. First of all, the first enemy is what Truman did. Well, it's the same thing now. It's not what Iran is doing or what Hamas is doing or what Hezbollah is doing. It is what Obama did and what Biden did, in effect. But of course, if you tell the truth, they'll say you're an extremist. No, they're a liar.